A lot of the guys had already moved seats, and I had actually got up and tried to move back too, and there was no more seats.
Honest day job. They should have come home, but now they never will.
The jury deliberated for 3 hours before coming back and sentencing DuBose to death.
Along with another inmate with killing 2 corrections officers in 2017 during a prison transport.
From adversity to incarceration, Ricky Allen DuBose, the youngest person on Demise Row, opens up about his tumultuous journey. This is his story of life, choices, and consequences. Background: the case of Ricky Allen Juvie DuBose has gained significant notoriety in recent years due to the shocking and brutal slayings of 2 correctional officers during a daring escape from a prison transport bus in Georgia back in 2017. Last week, after a lengthy trial, DuBose was found guilty for his role in the crimes, and on Thursday, he was sentenced to demise. His accomplice, Donnie Russell Whiskey Rowe Jr., had been convicted and received a life sentence without parole the previous year. This video aims to explore the events leading up to the slayings, the subsequent trial, and the consequential sentencing. The fateful day of June 13, 2017, witnessed DuBose and Rowe successfully breaking free from their handcuffs and seizing control of the prison transport bus. Tragically, they overpowered the 2 officers, Curtis Billu and Christopher Monica, resulting in their untimely demise. DuBose was specifically found guilty of slaying the officers, while Rowe was also heavily involved in the escape. The trial shed light on the circumstances surrounding the slayings and provided a platform for the prosecution to present a strong case against DuBose.
From 2 correctional officers being brutally murdered before the next act of violence.
He finally got the gun out, and as Mr. DuBose just unloaded a lot of rounds.
After careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict of guilty. The sentencing phase, which followed the trial, was equally significant, as the jury determined that the demise penalty was an appropriate punishment for DuBose's crimes. It is worth noting that DuBose's co-conspirator, Rowe, had already been convicted and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The differing sentences between the 2 defendants were likely influenced by various factors, including the degree of involvement and the nature of the offenses committed during the escape. The case of Ricky Allen Juvie DuBose serves as a stark reminder of the inherent dangers faced by correctional officers and the consequences that can arise when security protocols are compromised. It has attracted considerable attention due to the shocking nature of the crimes and the subsequent legal proceedings. The jury's decision to hand down the demise penalty further highlights the gravity of DuBose's actions and the severity of the loss endured by the victims' families and the correctional community as a whole. Early life. Ricky Allen Juvie DuBose, the convicted double slayer, was born into a troubled background marked by adversity and challenges. Raised in an environment where familial support and stability were lacking, DuBose faced a turbulent upbringing that undoubtedly influenced the trajectory of his life. Born in 1988, DuBose grew up without the traditional structures that provide stability and guidance to many young individuals.
After the shootings, investigators say DuBose and Rowe escaped and went on a crime spree.
Will you fight? Will you fight for Christopher Monica?
It is evident that he did not have the same opportunities and privileges that others might take for granted. These early experiences likely shaped his worldview and contributed to the path he ultimately chose. Details about his early life are scarce, but it is clear that he did not have the benefit of a nurturing and supportive family environment. Such circumstances can often lead individuals down troubled paths as they struggle to navigate the complexities of life without adequate guidance and stability. The lack of a stable foundation can leave young individuals vulnerable to negative influences and potentially lead them towards a life of crime. It is possible that Dubos's early experiences, coupled with external factors, played a role in shaping his decision-making and ultimately culminated in the tragic events of June 13, 2017. Horrific escape and slayings. The events that unfolded on June 13, 2017 were nothing short of horrific. On that day, a prison transport bus was carrying a number of inmates, including Donnie Russell Rowe and Ricky Dubose, from one correctional facility to another in Georgia. However, something went terribly wrong during the journey, leading to a dramatic and tragic series of events. It was revealed that Rowe and Dubose somehow managed to free themselves from their handcuffs while on the bus. Taking advantage of an unsecured metal gate, they accessed the front cabin of the bus, thereby gaining control over the situation.
Ricky did. But you know who was driving? You know who put the gun in his hand?
He opened the gate both times, and but for that man, Ricky Dubose doesn't get a gun.
Disturbingly, it was discovered that the officers responsible for supervising the transport, Curtis Billu and Christopher Monica, had failed to properly secure the gate. This, along with other procedural oversights, such as not double-locking the prisoner's handcuffs, created a dangerous situation that would ultimately have devastating consequences. Things quickly turned violent when Dubose and Rowe ambushed the officers, overpowering them and seizing control of the situation. In the chaos that ensued, Dubose managed to locate and grab hold of an unsecured Glock pistol. Without hesitation, he aimed the weapon at the heads of Billu and Monica and in a horrifying act pulled the trigger. Tragically, both officers lost their lives in the blink of an eye. The bus came to an abrupt stop, providing Rowe and Dubose with the opportunity to escape. They shattered a glass door and quickly fled the scene on foot. However, their escape was short-lived as they encountered a passing motorist near Lake Oconee. Seizing the opportunity, they forcibly commandeered the vehicle, leaving the unsuspecting driver caught in the middle of their desperate bid for freedom. This shocking chain of events left a community in mourning and sent shockwaves throughout the state of Georgia. It exposed serious flaws in the security and oversight of the prison transport system, leading to widespread public concern and calls for more stringent protocols.
Has died in prison of an apparent suicide. That's according to the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Along with another inmate with killing 2 corrections officers in 2017 during a prison transport.
This horrific escape and subsequent slayings serve as a stark reminder of the inherent dangers faced by correctional officers and the need for constant vigilance in ensuring the safety of both inmates and the public. It served as a tragic wake-up call, leaving an indelible mark on the minds of those who witnessed or heard about the events of that fateful day. Legal proceedings. The legal proceedings involving Ricky Allen Juvie Dubose and Donnie Russell Whiskey Rowe were complex and spanned over several years. Both individuals were found guilty of their involvement in the slayings of 2 correctional officers during a daring escape from a Georgia prison transport bus. Dubose and Rowe were convicted based on their roles in the crime, but the nature of their sentences differed significantly. Ricky Dubose, who was the one responsible for firing the fatal shots, received the demise penalty. The verdict was a direct consequence of his direct and lethal actions during the escape. On the other hand, Donnie Rowe, while equally complicit in the crime, received a sentence of life imprisonment without possibility of parole. The jury's decision to spare Rowe from the demise penalty was influenced by the understanding that it was Dubose who initiated the deadly attack.
Ricky Dubose is guilty, and he's mentally ill.
The jury deliberated for 3 hours before coming back and sentencing Dubose to death.
While both Dubose and Rowe were held accountable for their actions, the legal proceedings illuminated the nuances in their respective roles during the escape and subsequent slayings. The divergent sentences reflect a meticulous examination of the specific contributions and level of culpability of each defendant, providing a nuanced understanding of justice in this complex case. Escape convicts' brutal rampage. The capture of the killers, Donnie Russell Rowe and Ricky Allen Dubose, occurred a few days after their horrific escape and slayings. Rowe had been serving a life without parole sentence for a previous conviction in Bibb County, while Dubose was in the middle of a 20-year prison term for robbery and attack cases in Elbert County. The trial for Dubose began on June 1 in Putnam Senior Court, with jurors brought in from Glynn County on the southeast coast of Georgia. On the other hand, the prosecution painted Dubose as a deliberate and calculated slayer, arguing that he deserved the harshest punishment available. They emphasized his cunning nature, highlighting the premeditated nature of the crimes. The trial provided a platform for both the defense and the prosecution to present their respective narratives. The defense tried to establish Dubose's mental illness as a mitigating factor, while the prosecution emphasized the brutality and calculated nature of the slayings.
Honest day job. They should have come home, but now they never will.
Beating him with the chains that he had wrapped around his fist, and he knocked him down by the stairs there by the door.
The trial sought to deliver justice for the victims and their families, balancing the need for punishment with the necessity of a fair and impartial legal proceeding. Dubose's demise sentence. Ricky Allen Juvie Dubose's conviction for the double slaying of Sergeant Curtis Billou and Sergeant Christopher Monica on June 13, 2017 marked a tragic event in Georgia's legal history. At just 29 years old, Dubose became the youngest inmate on the state's demise row. The case involved an intricate legal process, including the selection of a jury from Glynn County, who ultimately found Dubose guilty. Following the conviction, the trial entered the penalty phase, during which emotional testimonies from family members and state witnesses were presented. On the defense side, Dubose was represented by 4 attorneys, namely Gerald Jerry Ward, Amber Pittman, Nathaniel Studelska, and Shayla Galloway. The trial's emotional intensity was heightened by the powerful testimonies, particularly that of Zoe. This trial was especially significant for Barksdale as it marked his second demise penalty case since taking office as district attorney. The proceedings serve as a stark reminder of the weighty responsibilities of the justice system and the profound loss experienced by the families of the victims.
Argument by the defense that Dubose is not eligible for the death penalty due to what they argue is his intellectual disability.
A lot of the guys had already moved seats, and I had actually got up and tried to move back too, and there was no more seats.
The sentencing of Ricky Allen Dubose serves as a poignant chapter in Georgia's legal history, reflecting the complexities and emotional toll associated with capital cases. It stands as a testament to the enduring commitment of the justice system to uphold the sanctity of human life and ensure justice for the victims and their families. Prosecution's urgent appeal. In the trial of Ricky Allen Juvie Dubose, the prosecution, led by District Attorney T. Wright Barksdale III, emphasized the gravity of Dubose's crimes. Barksdale invoked the jurors' sense of duty, drawing parallels between their service and the sacrifices made by law enforcement officers like Sergeant Curtis Billou and Sergeant Christopher Monica, who lost their lives in the line of duty. He urged the jurors to not be swayed by any charm or attempts to deception by the defendant. Barksdale underscored that Dubose's guilt in the slayings was not a matter of accident, mental illness, or intellectual disability. The jury had found him unequivocally responsible for the demises of Sergeant Billou and Sergeant Monica. He pointed out that the state of Georgia had successfully established 8 aggravating circumstances, a crucial factor in determining the appropriate punishment. The prosecutors reminded the jurors of the brutal nature of the crimes. Dubose had shot both officers multiple times, including in the head, during their escape from a prison bus. Subsequently, they committed a series of further violent acts, including a robbery and a home invasion, leaving lasting trauma in their wake.
On the 5-year anniversary of officers Curtis Ballou and Christopher Monica's murders, a jury found inmate Ricky DuBose.
Extremely grateful for everybody involved.
Ricky DuBose is one of the 2 men accused of killing Curtis Ballou.
During closing arguments, DuBose's lead defense attorney spoke about his history of mental illness.
Inmates accused of killing Curtis Ballou and Christopher Monica aboard a prison bus in Putnam County.
Barksdale narrative aimed to reaffirm the severity of DuBose's actions and to leave no doubt about the weight of the decision ahead of the jurors. His account was focused on presenting a compelling case for the imposition of the demise penalty, given the heinous and calculated nature of the crimes. The emphasis on the impact of DuBose's action on the victims and their families further underlined the gravity of the situation. Trail of violence. The prosecutor, District Attorney T. Wright Barksdale III, meticulously detailed the violent path taken by Ricky Allen Juvie DuBose after his escape. DuBose and his accomplice, Donnie Russell Rowe, initially led to Tennessee in his stolen truck. They sought refuge in a church, demonstrating a complete disregard for the sanctity of the place. Their audacious act of covering the stolen vehicle with baptism curtains from within the church was emblematic of their callousness. Barksdale emphasized that the jury had been presented with comprehensive evidence, leaving no aspect of DuBose's action off limits for consideration. He highlighted the unrelenting nature of DuBose's criminal spree, which included multiple burglaries and thefts. The ordeal inflicted upon the Hickersons during a home invasion was just one example of the havoc wreaked by DuBose and Rowe. The prosecutor recounted how the escapes continued their spree, stealing yet another vehicle. This led to a high-speed chase with law enforcement, endangering innocent lives. Nikki Morris's testimony underscored the lasting trauma inflicted on witnesses and victims alike. Barksdale posed a series of pointed questions to the jurors, reminding them of their prior acknowledgement that they were willing to consider the demise penalty.
Signed this 13th day of June by our courtperson.
In making this happen and getting justice for my dad.
Wrapped up just a few hours ago with both sides debating the suspect's mental health at the time of the incident.
Billy Ralston, a convicted child molester, was the 15th witness for the prosecution against Donnie Rowe.
Through his actions and confession, she says the defense hasn't proved he is.
Barksdale then turned their attention to the chilling fact that DuBose had fired 32 shots, highlighting the state-issued pistols belonging to Sergeant Ballou and Sergeant Monica, which had been used in the slayings. He emphasized that each pull of the trigger represented a deliberate act of violence against another human being. Barksdale's presentation sought to leave no doubt about the level of malevolence exhibited by DuBose throughout the ordeal. In his ultimate remarks, Barksdale conveyed the gravity of the moment, emphasizing the weight of responsibility placed on the jurors' shoulders. His measured words encapsulated the culmination of 5 years and 3 days of anticipation, underlining the significance of the decision they were about to make. Closing arguments. District Attorney T. Wright Barksdale III used a heartfelt personal narrative as the clinching point of his closing arguments in the trial of Ricky Allen DuBose. This was a pivotal moment in the trial. The presence of his kid, who was just 5 years old and completely innocent the night before, weighed heavy on his heart. The child's embrace was a jarring reminder of the lives that were taken, especially those of Sergeants Curtis Ballou and Christopher Monica. Barksdale presented a clear image of the void that these courageous officers' absence left at key life events such as graduation ceremonies and dance recitals. He emphasized the significant and long-lasting impact that DuBose's horrible conduct had on their families and how it would forever change their lives. After such an emotional introduction from Barksdale, defense counsel Jerry Ward approached the bench to deliver his closing argument. Ward acknowledged the hardships endured by these individuals over the course of the trial, which lasted for a total of 46 days. He was aware that the most difficult aspect of their service was still to come, an important decision that would have a significant impact on Ricky DuBose's future. Word acknowledged that there were no words that could adequately explain the anguish and sorrow that the Billu and Monica families had gone through over the course of the last 5 years. The strategy taken by the defense was one of honesty. It acknowledged Dubos's involvement with the Ghostface gang and his conduct in the case, but avoided showing disrespect for the victims' memories.
And I'm just excited to finally be able to feel some sort of peace.
With respect to count 1, murder, we the jury find the defendant guilty.
Decide the fate of a prison inmate accused of killing 2 corrections officers.
But he was the first to explain how Donnie Rowe and another inmate killed Curtis Bellew and Christopher Monica.
New at 5, a jury in Putnam County is now deliberating a verdict for Ricky DeBose. He's accused of killing 2 prison bus guards.
As word continued to speak, it became abundantly evident that this particular day was always the most challenging for him. There were no words that can completely explain the magnitude of the loss that the families have gone through. He reiterated the defense's clear strategy, in which they acknowledged Dubos's acts and his membership in the Ghostface gang, and their intention to neither insult the victims' memories nor squander the jurors' time. He stated that the defense is steadfast in their commitment. Instead, they kept their attention on carrying out their duties with the utmost respect and honesty. The next to address the jury was the lead defense attorney, Amber Pittman, who provided information regarding the dynamics of Dubos's family. Instead of portraying the escape and the following violence as acts of premeditation, Pittman portrayed them as crimes of opportunity. She highlighted Dubos's immediate acceptance of responsibility for his acts and emphasized that he did not lie about what transpired by pointing out that he took responsibility for them right away. A heartfelt moment in the courtroom occurred as Pittman begged the judge for mercy. She made an impassioned plea to the humanity of the jurors, pleading with them to take into account not only Dubose, but also his family members and former professors who had been significant influences on his life. In the end, the jurors came to a grave conclusion in spite of the defense's earnest efforts to argue their case. Their decision, despite the fact that it must have been excruciating, was a reflection of their unique moral judgments in the face of the immense sorrow that Ricky Allen Dubose had caused. The completion of the trial was a defining moment in the ongoing quest for justice on behalf of the slain cops and the bereaved families of those officers. It was an event that marked the trial's turning point and left an indelible mark on everyone who was present to bear witness to the proceedings. Impact on victims' families. The heinous crimes committed by Ricky Allen Juvie Dubose have left a profound and enduring impact on the families of the victims, Sergeant Curtis Bellew and Sergeant Christopher Monica. The pain and loss they have endured since that fateful day on June 13, 2017 cannot be adequately put into words. The absence of their loved ones has left a void that can never be filled. For Zoe, the youngest daughter of Sergeant Monica, life has been forever altered. At the tender age of 16, she received the devastating news of her father's tragic demise. She woke up to a world without him, a world where he would never witness her milestones, her sweet 16th birthday party, high school graduation, and the moments that every father dreams of sharing with his daughter. Zoe will walk through life's significant chapters without her father by her side, an empty chair a stark reminder of the void left behind. The pain, heartbreak, and sorrow they carry with them are burdens that no one should have to bear. Each milestone, holiday, and family gathering is a stark reminder of the loved ones they lost. The empty chairs serve as poignant symbols of the void left behind by the senseless act of violence. The grieving process for these families is ongoing and complex. They grapple with a range of emotions, from anger and sorrow to confusion and disbelief. Coping with such a profound loss is an arduous journey that requires time, support, and above all, resilience. In the midst of their grief, these families have demonstrated remarkable strength and resilience. They have attended court proceedings, facing the accused and reliving the painful details of that tragic day. Their presence in the courtroom is a testament to their unwavering commitment to seeking justice for their loved ones. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the families had to confront the reality of Dubo's actions. They heard the harrowing accounts of the crimes committed, each detail a painful reminder of the brutality their loved ones endured. The emotional weight of these testimonies is a burden they carry with them, a burden that serves as a testament to their enduring love and commitment to honoring the memory of Sergeant Billu and Sergeant Monica. In the end, the impact on the victims' families is immeasurable. Their lives have been forever altered, their hearts forever scarred by the loss of two brave and dedicated officers.
Family members of both Sergeant Monica and Billu's family say they're relieved.
Right now in Eaton, prosecutors and defense lawyers are trying to convince the jury whether Dubo should get the death penalty.
She says he's incapable of doing anything without help.
While the legal process may provide a form of closure, it can never fully alleviate the pain they feel. The memory of Sergeant Billu and Sergeant Monica will forever live on in the hearts of those who knew and loved them, and their legacies will continue to inspire and uplift their communities. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.